A single dad helped a woman carry groceries. The next day, she sent a limo for him and his son. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the sidewalks of Chicago's Polish village as 31-year-old Tomasz Tomi Kowalski walked, hand in hand with his 7-year-old son, Matusz, down Milwaukee Avenue. Tommy was a handsome man with the strong features of his Polish heritage, sandy brown hair, striking blue eyes, and the kind of solid build that spoke of honest work. His hands bore the calluses of his job as a construction foreman, but his face carried the gentle expression of a devoted father. Little Matusz, or Matty as everyone called him, was a miniature version of his father, complete with the same unruly cowlick and bright, curious eyes. He chattered excitedly in a mixture of English and Polish as they walked home from the library, his backpack bouncing with each enthusiastic step. "Tata, can we read the dragon book tonight?" Matty asked, using the Polish word for father that his babcia had taught him. "Of course, Miley," Tommy replied, the endearment rolling naturally off his tongue. "But first, homework, then dinner." They were passing Kowalski's market, no relation, despite the shared surname, when Tommy noticed a woman struggling with an overflowing cart of groceries near the store's entrance. She appeared to be in her mid-50s with silver-streaked blonde hair pulled back in an elegant chignon and wearing a simple but well-tailored navy coat. Despite her obvious distress, there was something regal about her bearing. The woman was trying to manage multiple heavy bags while fumbling with her car keys, and as Tommy watched, one of the bags began to slip from her grasp. "Matty, wait here." "For just a second," Tommy said, guiding his son to a nearby bench. "I'm going to help that lady." Without hesitation, Tommy jogged over to the woman just as the bag was about to hit the ground. He caught it smoothly, his quick reflexes saving what looked like a week's worth of groceries. "Oh, thank goodness," the woman exclaimed, her voice carrying a faint accent that Tommy couldn't immediately place. "Thank you so much. I was trying to do too much at once." "No problem at all," Tommy said with an easy smile. "These bags look heavy. Where's your car? I can help you load them." The woman looked surprised, as if unexpected kindness was a foreign concept. "Are you sure? I don't want to impose. It's no imposition. My son and I were just walking home anyway." Tommy gestured toward Matty, who was watching from the bench with interest. "That's very kind of you. I'm parked just over there," she said, pointing to a modest silver sedan about 50 feet away. As they walked to her car, Tommy couldn't help but notice the quality of the groceries: organic vegetables, artisanal breads, imported cheeses. This woman clearly had discerning taste, but she carried herself without pretension. "I'm Helena," she said as Tommy efficiently loaded the bags into her trunk. "Helena Wojciech." "Tommy Kowalski," he replied, recognizing the Polish surname. "Nice to meet you, Mrs. Wojciech. Please call me Helena, and thank you again." "You didn't have to stop," Tommy shrugged, closing her trunk securely. "My babcia always said that helping others is what makes us human. Besides, I'd want someone to help my son if he needed it someday." Helena studied his face with an intensity that made Tommy slightly self-conscious. "Your grandmother sounds like a wise woman." She was. Came here from Krakow in 1952 with nothing but her recipes and her determination. Tommy's voice carried the pride of someone who understood the value of hard work and family heritage. "And what do you do, Tommy?" "I'm a foreman for a construction company. We're working on that new development over in Lincoln Park." He paused, then added with a slight flush, "It's honest work, and it lets me provide for Matty." Helena nodded approvingly. "Honest work is the best kind, and your son, he's beautiful. He looks just like you." Tommy's face lit up with the kind of pride that only comes from a parent's love. "He's my everything. Lost his mama when he was 3, so it's just been us two musketeers ever since." "I'm sorry for your loss," Helena said softly. "Thank you. We're doing okay though." Maddie's a tough little guy, and we've got family in the neighborhood who help out. As if summoned by the mention of his name, Maddie approached cautiously, his natural shyness warring with his curiosity about the conversation. "Maddie, come meet Mrs. Wojcik," Tommy said encouragingly. "Hello," Maddie said politely, extending his small hand with the formal courtesy that Tommy had taught him. Helena shook his hand gravely, treating him with the respect she would give an adult. "It's very nice to meet you, Matusz. That's a beautiful Polish name." Maddie's eyes widened in surprise. "You know Polish?" "Tak, mówię po polsku," Helena replied with a warm smile, telling him that yes, she spoke Polish. "Wow, Tata, she speaks Polish like Babcia did." Tommy felt a warmth in his chest at his son's excitement. It had been hard for Maddie to maintain connections to his Polish heritage since Tommy's grandmother had passed away 2 years ago. "Where are you from originally?" Tommy asked Helena. "Warsaw, though it's been many years since I left," Helena replied. "But hearing you and your son, it reminds me of home." They chatted for a few more minutes about the neighborhood, Polish traditions, and Maddie's school. Helena seemed genuinely interested in their lives, asking thoughtful questions and listening to Maddie's animated stories about his friend, Jacob, and their teacher, Mrs. Patterson. "Well, we should let you get going," Tommy said finally, noticing that the afternoon was growing late. "Those frozen things probably need to get home, of course." "Thank you again, Tommy, and Matusz, it was wonderful meeting you." As they prepared to part ways, Helena reached into her purse and pulled out what looked like a business card. Then, she seemed to think better of it and put it back. "Take care of each other," she said instead. "We will. Have a good evening, Helena." As they walked away, Maddie looked back over his shoulder. "Tata, why did you help her?" Tommy considered the question. "Seriously, because it was the right thing to do, Meili. When we see someone who needs help and we can help them, we should. Even if we don't know them? Especially if we don't know them. That's when it matters most." What Tommy didn't know was that Helena Wojcik was the founder and chairman of Wojcik Enterprises, a multi-billion-dollar international conglomerate with headquarters in downtown Chicago. She had started with nothing when she arrived from Poland 40 years ago, building her empire through a combination of brilliant business acumen and an understanding of what it meant to struggle. For the past year, Helena had been quietly conducting her own social experiment. Despite her wealth, she had been feeling increasingly isolated from real human connection. Everyone in her world wanted something from her. Investors seeking funding, charities requesting donations, social climbers hoping for introductions. She had begun to wonder if genuine kindness still existed, or if every human interaction was ultimately transactional. So she had started occasionally venturing out in simple clothes, driving modest cars, shopping in regular stores, testing whether people would help a stranger who appeared to have nothing to offer in return. Today's encounter with Tommy and Maddie had been a revelation. Here was a man who worked with his hands, raised his son alone, and still had the impulse to help others without expectation of reward. The way he spoke about his grandmother, his obvious love for his son, and his natural dignity in the face of modest circumstances had touched something in Helena that she thought had been buried beneath decades of boardroom negotiations and corporate maneuvering. That evening, Helena sat in her penthouse office overlooking Lake Michigan, researching everything she could find about Tommy Kowalski. What she discovered only reinforced her initial impression. A man who had faced adversity with grace, who was raising his son with love and values, and who was respected in his community for his integrity and work ethic. She made a decision that would change all their lives. The next morning, Tommy was getting Maddie ready for school when he heard the sound of a car engine idling outside their modest apartment building. Looking out the window, he did a double take at the sight of a gleaming black limousine parked on their quiet residential street. "Tata, look," There's a fancy car outside. Matty pressed his nose to the glass, his breath fogging the window in his excitement. Probably just someone who's lost, Tommy said, though he felt a strange flutter of anticipation in his stomach. A moment later, there was a polite knock at their door. Tommy opened it to find a professionally dressed driver holding an elegant envelope. "Mr. Thomas Kowalski?" the driver asked. "That's me. I have a delivery for you, sir, from Mrs. Helena Wojcik." Tommy accepted the envelope with trembling hands, his mind racing. Inside was a handwritten note on expensive stationery. "Dear Tommy and Matoush, yesterday, you showed me something I had begun to think no longer existed: kindness without expectation of reward. You helped a stranger simply because it was the right thing to do, and in doing so, you reminded me why I fell in love with America 40 years ago. I would like to invite you and your son to lunch today. The car will wait for your answer. There's no pressure to accept, but I would be honored by your company. My driver will explain everything. With warm regards, HELENAPS. Please don't worry about work or school. I have taken the liberty of arranging coverage for both. Tommy read the note twice, his mind struggling to process what was happening. "Sir," the driver said respectfully, "Mrs. Wojcik wanted me to explain that she is Helena Wojcik, the chairman of Wojcik Enterprises. She was very specific that I should answer any questions you might have." Wojcik Enterprises? Tommy's eyes widened. Even he knew that name. It was one of the largest companies in Chicago, their logo visible on construction sites and office buildings throughout the city. "Yes, sir. Mrs. Wojcik is quite eager to see you and your son again, if you're willing." Tommy looked at Matty, who was practically vibrating with excitement at the sight of the limousine. "What do you think, Maylie? Want to go on an adventure?" "Yes." "Can we really ride in the fancy car?" 30 minutes later, Tommy and Matty were settled in the plush leather seats of the limousine, both trying not to gawk at the luxury surrounding them. Matty was particularly fascinated by the mini refrigerator and the television, while Tommy couldn't stop running his hands over the soft leather. "Tata, this is like in the movies," Matty whispered, though they were alone except for the driver. The limousine pulled up to the Wojcik Tower, a gleaming skyscraper in the heart of downtown Chicago. They were whisked up to the top floor in a private elevator, where Helena was waiting for them in an elegant conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. She looked different today, still approachable, but now clearly the powerful businesswoman she truly was. Her silver blonde hair was styled professionally, and she wore a tailored suit that probably cost more than Tommy made in a month. But her smile was the same warm expression from the day before. "Tommy, Matoush, thank you so much for coming," she said, rising to greet them. "Mrs. Wojcik, I have to admit, I'm a little confused," Tommy said, shaking her hand. "Yesterday you were just a nice lady with groceries, and today ... Today you discover I'm a rich lady with groceries," Helena finished with a laugh. "Please, sit down. I owe you an explanation." Over lunch, an elaborate spread that included Polish specialties that made Matty's eyes light up with recognition, Helena told them her story, how she had arrived from Poland with nothing, built her company from the ground up, and recently begun questioning whether genuine goodness still existed in the world. "I've been testing people, Tommy. I know that. Sounds terrible, but I needed to know if there were still people like you, people who help others simply because it's right." "And?" Tommy asked, though he was beginning to understand where this was leading. "In 6 months of looking, you're the first person who helped me without wanting anything in return. You didn't ask who I was. You didn't try to impress me or network with me. You just saw someone who needed help, and you helped." Matty, who had been quietly listening while working his way through a plate of pierogi, looked up with serious eyes. "Tata always helps people. That's just what good people do." Helena felt tears prick her eyes at the child's innocent wisdom. "Your son is absolutely right. And that's why I wanted to meet with you today. She turned to face Tommy directly. "I have a proposition for you. I need someone to head up a new division of my company, Wojciech Community Development. We're going to be building affordable housing, community centers, and schools in neighborhoods like yours. I need someone who understands those communities, who has the respect of the people we'd be serving." Tommy's mouth fell open. "Mrs. Wojciech, I'm flattered, but I'm a construction foreman. I don't know anything about running a division of a major corporation. You know about construction, you know about community, and you know about integrity. Everything else can be taught." Helena leaned forward. "The position comes with a salary of $150,000 a year, full benefits, and a housing allowance. But more than that, it's a chance to make a real difference in people's lives. I don't know what to say. Say you'll think about it. But Tommy, I want you to know this isn't charity. This is me recognizing talent and character when I see it. Yesterday, you showed me who you really are. I'm offering you a chance to show the world." Matty tugged on his father's sleeve. "Tata, does this mean we could help build houses for other kids like me?" "Yes, sweetheart," Helena answered. "Your daddy would be helping to build homes and schools, and places where families can be happy and safe." Tommy felt overwhelmed by the magnitude of what was being offered. "Why me? You could hire anyone. Because yesterday, when you saw someone struggling with groceries, your first thought wasn't what's in it for me. Your first thought was how can I help? That's exactly the kind of person I need leading this initiative." 2 weeks later, Tommy stood in his new office on the 20th floor of the Wojciech Tower, looking out at the city skyline and still hardly believing his life had changed so dramatically. His first project was already underway, a community center in his own neighborhood that would provide after-school programs and job training. Matty was enrolled in an excellent private school on full scholarship, but more importantly, he was thriving. Helena had become like a grandmother to him, teaching him Polish phrases and sharing stories about the old country that connected him to his heritage. "Knock, knock," Helena said, appearing in his doorway with 2 cups of coffee. "Helena, you don't have to bring me coffee. I have an assistant for that now. I like bringing you coffee. It reminds me that some things are more important than hierarchy." She settled into the chair across from his desk. "How are you adjusting? It's incredible. 6 months ago, I was worried about making rent. Now I'm planning a project that could change thousands of lives. And how does that feel?" Tommy smiled, the same genuine smile that had caught Helena's attention in the first place. "Like coming home. Like everything I've been through, losing Anna, struggling as a single dad, working my way up in construction. It was all preparing me for this." "You know what the best part is?" Helena asked. "What's that?" "Yesterday, Matty told me that he wants to grow up to be just like his tata, someone who helps people. You're not just building communities, Tommy. You're building the next generation of people who will make the world better." That evening, as Tommy tucked Matty into bed in their new apartment, Helena had insisted they move to a safer neighborhood. His son looked up at him with those bright blue eyes that reminded Tommy so much of his late wife. "Tata, are you happy?" "Very happy, Meili. Are you?" "Yes, but Tata, what is it?" "I'm glad you helped Babcia Helena with her groceries, because now we get to help lots of people." Tommy kissed his son's forehead, his heart full of gratitude for the simple decision that had changed their lives. "What did I tell you about helping people, Matty?" "That it's what good people do," Matty recited sleepily. "That's right. And sometimes when we help others, we discover that we're really helping ourselves find our purpose." As he turned off the lights and headed to his own room, Tommy reflected on the extraordinary turn his life had taken. One act of kindness, something that had seemed so small and natural in the moment, had opened doors he never could have imagined. Sometimes the most important moments in our lives don't announce themselves with fanfare. Sometimes they come disguised as a simple choice to help a stranger with her groceries. And sometimes, when we choose kindness without expectation of reward, the universe rewards us in ways we never dared to dream. The end.
Thank you for watching this story unfold with us here on M&A The Story Unfolds. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new tale. We'd love to know where you're watching. Leave a comment below and tell us what part of the world you're joining us from. Your support means everything. See you in the next story.